A bride in a soaked white dress stumbles barefoot into a taxi, her mascara streaked, clutching something that could shatter or save a life. And the driver who picks her up has no idea that one small choice tonight will tear open a secret that changes everything. Before we dive into the story, make sure to hit subscribe button and like the video, and tell us in the comments where are you watching from. Now let's jump into the story. Rain slid down the city before dawn, steady and honest. Jack McAllister did not mind. Rain meant quiet rides and time to think of Mia. Mia was 9, curious, certain grilled cheese could fix anything. Jack worked nights, so mornings belonged to her. Lunches packed, a ponytail mostly straight, a wave at the bus door. The apartment was small but warm, the rent paid by a taxi that rattled when the heater kicked in. By 7, the wipers kept time and the streets shone. Between fares, Jack glanced at the photo taped to his dash. Mia with a red popsicle, freckles. Dispatch warned about traffic near St. Bridget's, but a detour slid him down Maple anyway. The church doors were open, light spilling into rain. Umbrellas crowded the steps. That was when he saw her. She stood barefoot on the top step, a white dress bunched in both hands. Mascara had left faint tracks. The veil hung crooked. She looked left, right, down, as if the ground itself were a question. Then she missed a step, caught the rail, and hugged herself against the chill. Jack rolled down his window. "Need a ride?" She blinked, then nodded and ran, slipping into the back seat in a rush of wet air and perfume like warm stone after rain. "Where to?" he asked, turning the heat her way. "Anywhere not here," she whispered, then tried again. "Please, just drive." Jack pulled away. Bells rang behind them, bright notes swallowed by weather. The woman pressed her palms to her eyes, then lowered them and breathed. 2 blocks passed. "River Road's quiet," Jack said. "Helps people think." "Thank you." She paused. "I'm Claire." "Jack," he said. "You okay, Claire?" Her green eyes met his in the mirror. "I will be." I walked away from vows I couldn't say. Jack kept his eyes on the road. Sometimes the right decision looks wrong to everyone else. A surprised smile touched her mouth. The rain softened. After a minute, she asked, "Do you have someone waiting for you?" "My kid," Jack said. "Mia, 4th grade." "She's lucky." "We're both trying," he said. "She thinks I can fix anything with a grilled cheese." Claire's laugh was small but honest. "There was a cake shaped like a castle back there," she said. It felt heavier than the ring. They rode in easy silence. The river ran dark and steady beside them. "Would you mind taking the long way?" Claire asked. "I'll cover it." "No rush," Jack said. She slid a cream envelope from beneath the fold of her dress, sealed with a thin line of gold. She held it like something warm. "I'm going to leave this on the seat when I get out," she said. "Please don't open it. Tomorrow at noon, take it to the diner at Elm and 7th, the one with the blue awning. Give it to the woman behind the counter wearing a silver locket shaped like a tiny compass. Her name is June. Tell her Claire sent you." Jack weighed the request and found resolve under the ruins of her night. "Okay," he said. She exhaled as if a knot had loosened. "Thank you." They passed porches with hanging ferns and an empty soccer field. Claire lifted off the veil and folded it carefully, as if gentleness could keep a life from wrinkling. "Drop me at the side gate of the old botanical garden?" she asked. "I'll be fine." He turned onto Azalea Street. Ivy climbed the ironwork. He braked at the curb. Claire put her hand on the door, then looked up. "You're a decent man, Jack," she said. "Tell Mia the grilled cheese theory holds. I'll pass it on." Cool air slipped in when she opened the door. She set the envelope on the seat with 2 fingers, closed the door gently, and walked toward the gate without looking back. White faded into green. Jack watched until the ivy took her. The envelope glowed in the dashlight like a small moon. He slid it into the glove box beside Mia's hair ties and a broken crayon. The cab felt different, as if it held an extra heartbeat. The city returned in pieces. A man sprinted under a broken umbrella. A bus sighed at a stop. Jack's phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Rosen. Mia conked out. All good. He sent thanks and a promise to pick her by 10. When the shift ended, he parked under the street lamp behind his building. Mist hung low. He looked at the glove box and told himself he was only making sure. The envelope waited, patient. He shut it and went upstairs. Mia slept on the couch under knit blanket, a book open on her chest. Jack tucked the blanket and brushed a curl from her cheek. In the kitchen, he wiped rain from his jacket and watched corner of sky through the window. Tomorrow at noon sat in his mind like a pin on a map. Morning brought cereal and a debate about whether grilled cheese counted as breakfast. He said yes. By 11:30, he had dropped her at art club and headed toward Elm and 7th. Traffic moved like a polite parade. The blue awning appeared as bells marked the half hour. Jack parked, rested his hand on the glove box, and felt the weight of decision turning into action. Rain softened to mist as Jack pushed into the diner. The bell rang once. Coffee and toast scented the room. The woman at the counter wore a small compass locket. Just like Claire said. "June?" he asked. She nodded. "You must be Jack." He set the cream envelope down. June rested her palm on it. "Did she walk?" she asked. "To the garden," he said. June let out a thin breath and slipped the envelope into her apron. She poured him coffee and studied his face. "She said you'd come if you keep promises," June said. "I was just the ride," he said. "Rides save nights," she said. She took the envelope to the back. The diner carried on. Forks, low voices, a raincoat kid counting napkin holders. When June returned, she set a small tin on the counter, a faded lighthouse on the lid. "She asked me to give you this only if you came today," June said. "And only if you hadn't opened the envelope." "I didn't," he said. "There's a card inside with my number," June said. "If you want one more drive after lunch, call. Nothing risky, just a favor that matters." "I have to pick up my kid at 3, Jack said. "You'll be done," she said. "If not, I'll watch her with a milkshake." Outside, rain stitched the street. Jack opened the tin in the cab. Inside, a note, a key on a red tag stamped 2B, and June's card. "Thank you for seeing me without taking. If you're willing, help me close a door I never should have opened. Use the key at 412 Linden, apartment 2B. Take the brown box by the door to June. Please don't wait. C." Linden was 6 minutes away. He thought of Mia at art club, tongue at the corner of her mouth when she painted. If he moved quick, he could fit this between the day's edges. 412 Linden was brick under maple shade. 2B's lock turned smooth. A brown box waited by the door, tape tight, a single word across the top, return. Beside it, a white shoebox with a ribbon and a hotel key tucked under the bow. The letter had been clear. Jack left the shoebox. He lifted the brown box. It was heavier than it looked. On the table sat a photo of 2 girls by a creek, knees muddy, one wearing a clover crown. The other girl laughed, freckles bright. People are whole before they are stories, he thought, and locked up. A text from Mrs. Rosen buzzed as he reached the cab. "Mia wants to stay an extra half hour, okay?" He sent yes and pictured a dragon in purple paint. Back at the diner, June had 2 plates waiting. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. Your face says it wasn't nothing, she said, glancing at the box. Just a delivery, he said. She asked you to have this. June slid the box to a lower shelf. Eat, she said. Then, if you're willing, one more stop. The soup tasted like every safe kitchen at once. Jack told her about Mia's habit of painting 14 sun rays because odd numbers made her uneasy. June listened like an old friend. When the plates were clean, June wiped the counter and spoke low. Claire was supposed to leave that box last week, she said. Hesitation makes weight heavier. Thank you for lifting. Is she in danger? He asked. Not the kind with sirens, June said. But sometimes trouble wears a suit and calls itself a plan. She slid him an address, Pierfield Storage, Unit C11. Someone will meet you and hand you a single envelope for me, she said. 5 minutes in and out, I called ahead. Who? He asked. A friend who avoids the center of sentences, she said. You'll know him by the navy cap and quiet. Jack checked the time. If he went now, he could still make school pickup. Okay, he said. The storage park sat by the water, rows of orange doors. C11 was halfway down the third row. A man in a navy cap leaned on the wall, paperback soft from rain and use. June's driver? The man asked. Jack. The man rolled up the door, reached to a shelf, and brought down a single envelope sealed with red wax. He placed it in Jack's hand and pulled the door shut. She said thank you, he murmured. Jack slid the envelope into his jacket and drove. He slid into the pickup lane with 2 minutes to spare. Mia ran to the cab, paint on her fingers, backpack thumping. Did you know purple is made from blue and red and also a secret? She said. I suspected, Jack said. She buckled in and grinned. You're thinking about something. About keeping promises, he said. As they drove, he felt the waxed envelope warm against his chest, steady as a held breath. He pictured June's locket, catching the diner light, a tiny compass, pointing not north, but toward people who he did not know what the envelope held, only that it belonged on that counter and nowhere else. At the red light, he called June. On my way, he said. We're ready, she said. He parked. The bell rang again. June met his eyes, then glanced at his jacket like she could hear the paper. You made it, she said. You said 5 minutes, he said, placing the envelope on the counter. The diner smelled like coffee. And you were right on time, June said. Breaking the wax with a careful thumb, June slid the contents of the envelope out carefully, like it might bruise. A single folded letter, edges softened from being handled too much. She read in silence, lips pressed thin, eyes scanning with a quiet ache. Jack waited, his hands flat on the counter, Mia beside him sipping chocolate milk with the solemn focus of an archaeologist. When June finished, she set the paper down and exhaled like she'd been underwater. She's leaving town tonight, she said. There's a train at... Running or starting over? Jack asked. Sometimes those are the same thing, June said. She tapped the letter gently. She says she can't carry the version of herself she almost became. She wants me to tell her parents she's okay, and that she didn't waste the love they gave her. Just used it to survive long enough to choose something better. Mia blinked up at them. Is she sad? Not anymore, June said softly. Just tired. Jack thought about the bride on the church steps. The way her hope had looked cracked, but still lit from inside. What do you need me to do? He asked. June studied him for a long second. Drive her, she said. Not because she asked, because she didn't know how to. Jack hesitated. Mia swung her legs. We could bring her grilled cheese, she offered. Grilled cheese solves many things, June said, and managed a smile. Mia had homework and bedtime and a dad who had made 1,000 wrong guesses, but kept trying anyway. Yet something about Claire's quiet desperation had threaded through his day like a second pulse. He thought of her walking barefoot through wet ivy, holding herself together with frayed edges. "Where?" he asked. "Old train depot off Carver Street," June said. "She'll be in the waiting room, gray duffel, looking like she's trying not to vanish." Jack glanced at the clock. "We'll go," he said. Mia beamed. "Field trip." Outside, dusk was stretching thin across the city. Streetlights blinked awake, one by one. Mia leaned her head against the window, humming softly, while Jack drove through the slow spill of commuters heading home to dinners and doorways. He wondered if Claire had ever had a doorway that waited for her. The depot sat at the edge of the river, brick fading, paint peeling from the eaves. The parking lot was mostly empty, except for 2 sedans and an old touring bike chained to a post. Jack parked by the curb. "Stay here, Peanut," he said gently. "I'll be back in 5. "Okay," she said, already pulling out her sketchbook. Inside, the waiting room smelled faintly of dust and old coffee. Claire sat on a wooden bench, duffel at her feet, hair tucked into a loose braid. She looked smaller without the dress, like someone who had let go of something heavy, but hadn't yet realized she could stand taller without it. Her hands were clasped around a paper ticket. She saw him and startled. "Jack?" "June said you needed a lift," he said, "and that trains leave, but people don't have to vanish." Claire let out a shaky breath. "I didn't want to ask." "You didn't," he said, "but you left an envelope that kept asking for you." For a moment, her face crumpled, not from sadness, but from the relief of being found without needing to call for it. She stood, shouldering the duffel. "The platform's just down the ramp." Jack led the way. The platform was slick with dew. A lone attendant checked his watch, distant and disinterested. Claire stopped short halfway down the ramp and turned to him. "I was supposed to marry a man who loves control more than people," she said. "It wasn't violence, just erasure. He planned our whole life like a calendar. I was a slot." "And you walked out?" Jack said. "Barefoot," she said with a thin smile. "My mother would have hated that part." The horn of an approaching train wailed faintly through the dark. Claire tightened her grip on the duffel strap. "I have a nursing program lined up in Denver. It starts in 2 weeks. No one there knows me as the girl who almost said yes to disappearing." "Sounds like a good kind of unknown," Jack said. She nodded, but her eyes were glassy. "I feel like I ruined everyone's night." "You might have saved your life," he said. The train's headlights split the trees beyond the curve. Claire turned to face them, wind lifting the ends of her braid. "Thank you," she said, "for not asking who I was supposed to be." "Who you are seems enough," Jack said. She blinked fast, then handed him something small, a folded receipt from the diner. "For when you forget that decent people exist," she said. The train ground to a halt with a hiss. The conductor called boarding. Claire stepped up, turned, and looked at him once more, not with longing or regret, but with something steadier. "Tell June I kept the part of me that believes people can be kind," she said. "I think she already knows," Jack said. She nodded, then vanished into the train. Jack stood until the cars curved out of sight. The night held its breath, then let it go. He walked back to the cab. Mia was drawing stick figures holding grilled cheese sandwiches under a rainbow. "Did you find her?" she asked. "Yeah," he said quietly. She found herself too. They drove home through a softened city, the streets damp and glimmering like someone had just forgiven them. Mia fell asleep before they hit Maple Avenue, her head tipped against his arm. Jack carried her upstairs, set her gently in bed, and stood for a long moment in the doorway. He thought about how some people are storms, and some are shelters. And sometimes you have to be both to get through. The morning after the station run, sunlight slid across the kitchen table like it had been waiting for them. Jack flipped pancakes while Mia built syrup lakes, hair wild. The quiet felt like peace, not emptiness. His phone buzzed. "Jack McAllister?" a woman asked. "Tune from the diner. Could you stop by after drop-off? Something from Claire?" At the counter, June's compass locket caught the light. She slid a plain envelope across. "Overnighted," she said. Jack opened it carefully. Inside lay a note and a folded flyer for Harborview Medical's patient transport team. A sticky flag on a name, Marisol Vega. The note read, "Jack, you drove me away from the wrong story. I wanted to return the steadiness you loaned me. Marisol runs transport at Harborview. She needs drivers who treat people like people. I told her about a single dad who met a stranger at her worst and asked only for directions. If you want steadier hours, call her. I gave your number with June's blessing. There's also a confirmation for a summer art scholarship in Mia's name at the community center. I paid for it with refunds on things I returned to become myself. Please let her paint until the sky quits arguing. No one saved me. You and June reminded me I wasn't lost for good. That changed everything. Keep showing up." Claire Jack read it twice. June poured coffee and didn't rush the silence. "Marisol's good," June said. Mia traced the scholarship receipt with a purple finger. "She wrote my name," she whispered. In the parking lot, Jack called Marisol. Her voice was brisk, warm. By noon, he had an interview for Thursday and a short list of forms. She spoke of benefits, daytime hours, and a pilot program delivering groceries to patients without rides. "We need drivers who see the person, not the problem," she said. The interview felt like a kitchen table talk. "Your references are unconventional." Marisol smiled, tapping June's note and a line from Claire's letter. "But your reasons are good." She offered a start date 2 weeks out, 7 to 3, Monday to Friday, no nights. He wanted dinners and homework and the ordinary miracle of bedtime. On his last Friday in the taxi, rain returned like a song. He drove past the old botanical garden. Ivy had climbed higher since the day he dropped Claire. The city looked rinsed. He thought how a sealed envelope had altered the angle of everything. Not magic. Trust moving from hand to hand like a small flame. Harborview's van smelled like new vinyl and sanitizer. Jack's first patient was Mr. Harris, a retired mail carrier with a knee that argued with stairs. Jack buckled him in and listened while routes unspooled. On the way home, they stopped by a pantry for a bag with Mr. Harris's address. Jack carried it inside, checked the fridge light, and left his work number. That night, Mia set the table like it mattered. "First dinner of the new schedule," she said. Spaghetti won by vote. Afterward, they let water splash and didn't hurry. A week later, an envelope arrived from Denver. Inside was a photo of Claire in light blue scrubs, eyes bright from the inside out. A sticky note said, "First clinical day survived. Tell Mia the sky here needs more paint." The photo went on the fridge beside the scholarship receipt and a pear magnet. On Saturday, they walked to the diner with a watercolor postcard for June. Mia had painted a tiny compass pointing to the word "here." June pinned it near the register. When they left, June pressed a napkin-wrapped trinket into Jack's hand. "Left with a check, no name," she said. Inside lay a small brass charm shaped like a door, a neat line stamped where a hinge would be. Jack added it to his keys. Under the blue awning, he looked down at Mia. "What do you think changed everything?" he asked. Mia considered. "The envelope started it," she said. "But I think it was when you didn't let somebody eat alone." "Me too," he said. Days learned their new rhythm. Mornings began with cereal and missing shoes. Afternoons ended with paint on elbows and gym socks that refused to match. Jack drove the van through neighborhoods he had only flown past, learned the hum of new elevators and the names of cats guarding doormats. He kept protein shakes in the back for when someone admitted they'd skipped lunch, and an extra minute for a story before stairs. One evening, after a drop-off, he parked by the river where the city keeps its quiet. He took out Claire's letter, folded soft now, and read the line about becoming herself. Depot lights blinked on across the water. Trains no longer felt like escape hatches, but threads connecting here to where you could go. "Dad," Mia called from the back seat. "How do you spell hinge?" "Hinge," he said. "Why?" "We're writing poems about small things that make big things swing," she said. "I was thinking of doors." He smiled, thumb on the brass charm. Sometimes a life doesn't swivel on a miracle. Sometimes it turns on a paper hinge. A driver stops. A stranger trusts. A woman chooses herself. A kid paints the sky until it says yes. Doors open because somebody reaches for the handle. And that changed everything. Sometimes, the smallest acts, like stopping for someone who's braking quietly, can rewrite lives and ripple through a world that's forgotten how to pause for each other. If this story moved you, hit like, subscribe to the channel, and share it, because reminding the world to care might start with you.